Elizabeth Siddal is known as one of the greatest muses of the 19th century, at a time just before the suffragette movement began and women's liberation came to be. However, lesser known is the fact that Siddal was a keen artist and poet, completing 15 poems and 100 drawings and paintings. Her oeuvre is even more impressive given the ill health she was riddled with throughout her life, which would have greatly hindered her mental capacity and stifled her artistic potential, not to mention the third handicap of being a woman in a very fortified patriarchy, despite the social leg up she would have received given her immediate peers in the prolific Pre-Raphaelite group. This video will shy away from the focus on Siddal's sickness, as narratives surrounding her legacy often allow for this detail about her life to come to the fore. While her mental illness was the ultimate cause of her tragic premature demise, her character and distinct perspective are immortalised in her work. This is not a new perspective to be taking per se. The feminist art historians Griselda, Pollock and Deborah wrote in an essay titled Woman as Sign in Pre-Raphaelite Literature that Siddal's life had been remembered in a light that is both overly romantic but also unfairly critical about her undeveloped talent. There is a timeless ingrained obsession for the frail young white woman at play here, which all too often takes precedence over Elizabeth Siddal, the person. The two prolific academics also discuss her upbringing as a working-class woman and her preceding exploitation by the all-too patriarchally named Brotherhood. In patriarchal ideologies of art, the role ascribed to the feminine position is either as art's object, the model, or as its muse by virtue of a romantic affiliation with an artist. In Pre-Raphaelite literature, Siddal functions as both. Recognition of women's active part in culture as producer is thus eroded. The notion that art is made from that natural condition of men looking at lovely women effaces from art history consideration of how art is socially produced. Instead, it offers merely the hagiography of individual male artists, the celebration of masculine creativity, and its collateral, the aesthetic autonomy of art. Siddal, therefore, articulates the informing ideologies of art history about the personal process of artistic creation and its natural disposition between the sexes. In an attempt to resist this common narrative, we shall represent Siddal as the artist she was. In this drawing, titled Pippa Passes, named after the verse drama by Robert Browning, a virginal Pippa passes by a huddle of female prostitutes who gossip and beckon to her. Here is the dichotomy of female experience, the two modes of identity women are restricted to by men. The drawing itself is highly skilled. The composition is open, highlighting Pippa as the sympathetic character and thus emphasising the pious inclination of the image. The prostitutes look lowly in comparison to the clean-clothed Pippa, whimsically holding a loose stick adorned with leaves which attracts a sweet gaggle of geese. Religion was often a central theme in Siddal's work, as was the same with the Pre-Raphaelite Brotherhood. She was a prolific reader favouring romantic themes. Writer Elizabeth Prettejohn attributes the introduction of subjects of sorcery, enchantment and spell casting into the Pre-Raphaelite circle to Siddal. Her work was understandably influenced by her husband Dante Gabriel Rosetti. They shared a home, a marriage, conversations and no doubt an aesthetic opinion. What Siddal brought to the Pre-Raphaelites was a female perspective. That is not to say that there were not other female Pre-Raphaelites. It was Walter Deborah who brought Elizabeth Siddal into the circle of the Pre-Raphaelites originally. So it goes. She was the most beautiful creature, with an air between dignity and sweetness, mixed with something which exceeded modest self-respect and partook of disdainful reserve. Tall, finely formed, with a lofty neck and regular yet somewhat uncommon features. Greenish-blue, unsparkling eyes, large perfect eyelids, brilliant complexion, and a lavish wealth of coppery golden hair. What followed was a plethora of paintings by almost every member of the Pre-Raphaelite Brotherhood, and in those paintings for which she did not directly model, it has been discussed that her appearance played a heavy influence. John Everett Millais, William Holman Hunt, Frederick Sandys, Evelyn de Morgan, Edward Burne-Jones, and Dante Gabriel Rosetti. Rosetti, as aforementioned, ended up marrying Siddal, and she became almost the exclusive subject of his works. We must credit Siddal as a muse or model to the point of an art. While the many men and few women who captured her likeness and her youthful beauty are artists in their own right, she gave herself to the pictures she makes. It is not often an entire circle of painters are so enthralled by a single model. The woman as muse has a complicated construction in art history, and one that is customarily entangled with the male gaze on the female figure. To end this video, we can look at one of Siddal's paintings. This work is called Lady Affixing a Pennant. It is depicting a medieval scene of a man and a woman, intertwined but centred around this rather suggestive vertical rod to which they attach the flag. The soft application of the paint and the supple body language contrast the hard armour and equipment. The pair engage in an act of chivalry. It feels private as their bodies face each other. The scene is painted in an interior, despite the indication of battle. We get the sense it is taken from the perspective of Siddal, even more so as at the time women very much were to be kept and to be keepers within and of the home. We can only imagine what Siddal's work could have flourished into being. Sadly, she died of a laudanum overdose at the age of 32. Despite all odds, she was not the discovered silent subject represented by art history, but an artist in her own right.